A futuristic world as envisioned by Wagner, advertising cards, 1930.
These future fantasy collectible cards were published by the German company Wagner in the first half of the 20th century. Originally Wagner made margarine, and it made a lot of trade cards that were distributed all over Central Europe. In 1930, the true Wagner margarine created a series of books designed as a display for a collection of stickers made available separately. In this book, there's a section called Future Fantasy which has no artist or author credited. The illustrations are beautiful, the technology is actually quite brilliant and not so far-fetched. The book is called Wagner Margarine Album NR3, Syrian 12 UND 13, Genuine Wagner Margarine Album NR3, Series 12 and 13. It was published by Elmshorn in Holstein, Germany. There were hundreds of Wagner trading cards, and they were focused on numerous topics, including folklore, transportation, culture, universe, futurism, and more. The most fascinating ones are the cards depicting visions of the future. Many of those ideas came true 100 years later. Let's take a look at the first picture. This card is more focused on the enjoyment of life, luxury, and adventure. The two women and even the men seem to be dressed like pilots, with a plane in the background. They relax outdoors with portable phones that allow them to see the other person. Surprisingly, the artist makes one correct prediction that is reminiscent of smartphones today. They even can video conference. The so-called Kaufmannsbilder, which can be translated as merchants' cards, i.e. trade cards, were very common in Germany. Of pre-World War I, larger companies produced their own cards, while smaller companies could have their names printed on generic cards. Retrofuturism is first and foremost based on modern but changing notions of the future. As Guffey notes, retrofuturism is a recent neologism, but it builds on futurists' fevered visions of space colonies with flying cars, robotic servants, and interstellar travel on display there, where futurists took their promise for granted. Retrofuturism emerged as a more skeptical reaction to these dreams. In its more popular form, futurism, sometimes referred to as futurology, is an early optimism that focused on the past and was rooted in the 19th century, an early 20th century golden age that continued long into the 1960s space age.